Breaking news out of Pickering, Ontario, Canada, where in a 4-to-1 vote, once again it was the decision of the Council of the Corporation of the City of Pickering, not the people, to intensify the rampage on the silencing of the voices of the local community by prioritizing corporate developer interests over the interests of the people. Councillor Lisa Robinson said an option for an appeal should always be in order, then proceeds to laugh during Monday night's special council meeting in a blatant disregard for the current mayor Kevin Ash's feelings. It is clear to the public who she works for and who other members of council work for based on their voting patterns. Sorry we had to interrupt the scheduled broadcast and delay releasing highlights of episode 6, the truth behind the removal of question period.
I had quite a bit I was going to say today, but now I'm just going to shorten it up just to a couple of things that I find very, very concerning regarding the cutting of this red tape, so to speak, because that's exactly what it is. I find these initiatives very concerning, like, to abolish the regional planning and severely limit the right to appeal on official plans and zoning bylaws to the Ontario Land Tribunal, effectively silencing the voices of communities and prioritizing developer interests. I'm going to say something that the mayor always says, but I'm going to use it in a different context. I think the option for an appeal should always be in order. This coupled with the expansion of the strong mayor's powers, which, I've spoken to numerous times, how concentrated power in the hands of strong mayors gives rise to abuse of power for personal political gain, and eliminates public participation, which raises serious concerns about the democratic governance. These initiatives also facilitate unchecked municipal expansion and sprawling development without adequate consideration of density targets, disregarding the urgent need to address climate change and its impact on our water resources. And it increases the scope for minister odors, again, further silences the voices and the expertise of the conservation authorities and undermining their compliance and enforcement efforts. I find it very disheartening to witness a trend where the needs and voices of the people, as well as the imperative to safeguard our natural world, are, they're relegated to secondary status at this time. Governments at all levels seem to have lost their sight of their fundamental duty to serve the interests of the populace and ensure that the protection of our shared environment for current and future generations to come. Rather than championing the well-being of communities and the preservation of our ecological heritage, governments have been more concerned with catering to the demands of the developers and advancing personal agendas instead. This deviation from the core principles of governments not only undermines the integrity of our democratic institutions, but it's also now jeopardizing the long-term sustainability of our society. Councillor Cook made a mention, I think it was Councillor Cook made mention that we're being pushed, or was that Councillor Nagy? That we're being pushed from the upper tier governments. Well, you know what? I think it's time that we start pushing back as a municipality. And I think if we as municipalities start pushing back, then you know what? We'll see other municipalities pushing back, and we wouldn't have our hands tied, and when we'd be constantly be put in these positions. But in saying that, we've heard from staff tonight, fellow councillors, and the mayor saying that this is a risk, not putting in these comments. And I haven't said that. What I am asking for, again, just so we're clear, is that we have 4 days to get this in. Within those 4 days, we could easily make a phone call or send an email, do whatever we possibly can to see if we can get an extension to make sure that our constituents, all the people of Pickering and Durham can actually get their say, and they can actually have their voices heard. Because for us to sit up here and do this on such short notice without having any kind of input from the community, I think is absolutely disgraceful. And I think, not wanting to make a phone call or to put in an email is just an excuse, in my opinion. And, because we should be doing everything we possibly can to make sure that the people that, elected us to represent them, the people can actually have their say so we can do our job effectively, instead of taking this upon us and, take in the reports without having their input. Again, I'm completely disgusted in the way that this is run, and I don't like it. And I think the people deserve to at least try to get a phone call or get an answer to see if we can do an extension. And if the answer ends up being yes, that we can, and as small as an extension it could be, if it could be 2 weeks even, I'm pretty sure that we would be able to have a special council meeting and get as many comments in as we possibly can within that time, so they can adequately reflect in this report the comments from the city of Pickering, what our community wants. So I cannot support this tonight on that alone, Mr. Mayor. I'm sure everyone can understand why. And I thank you very much. And I mean, I really am happy to see a lot of this is not supported by our staff, but I really do, again, think that we could do a lot more. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. That concludes debate. So I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll. Yes, Councillor Brenner.
Councillor Brenner.
Yes.
Councillor Cook.
Yes.
Councillor Nagy.
Yes.
Councillor Robinson.
No.
Mayor Ash.
Yes.
That's carried 4-1.
Thank you. Confirming bylaw. Moved by Councillor Cook, second by Councillor Nagy. All those in favor? Opposed? That item is carried.